Hi, welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. In partnership with Kazana, improve your margins with real-time, data-driven retail valuations backed by the largest raw data set in the UK. They're an evidence-based guide valuations for main dealers, car supermarkets, and independents, along with Simco training, where we talk about training in the real world, what's happening in the market today, not 10, 15 years ago. Together, we're going to share tips and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service and parts operation, and generally put more profit into your department, dealership, or dealer group. Now, I'm your host, Simon Bowkett, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. Firstly, I just want to say thank you for the people who dialed in right from the beginning of this, because we're past 250 episodes now and interviewed so many great leaders in the motor trade. Thank you for taking the time. For people who are new to this, please, I ask you to subscribe. You can't believe what it does to the algorithm and gets this podcast out to as many people in motor trade as we can. Hi, welcome to another episode of Selling in the Motor Trade. I'm going to say today's episode, I'm torn. I want to talk about motorways, We Buy a Car, and Carwow in the UK. So if you guys are listening in Australia or Canada, America, I'm sure you've got very similar things. And I suppose this is going to be a bit of a rant, a bit of a conversation starter. And also I know that dealers listen to this. And guys, I get it. If you're an independent, okay, from the IMDA and you need to get used stock, I really understand it. But I'm also guessing that as dealers, we've probably not sold many cars through them. And I've actually done 4 cars now over the last probably 2 years, okay? And last one happened today. And I've got to tell you, from a consumer's point of view, and by the way, I did it because I probably should have just sold the car to one of our clients there. That would be quick and easy. But I was just curious to have a look at the process, how it worked. Okay, I was very keen about it because, of course, we worked with Carwow for a long time, and I just wanted to see it from the customer's side of view. But also, I'm torn because we mainly work with franchise dealers, okay, dealer groups, and that's who our clients are, okay. And from a car salesperson's point of view, I've noticed a trend that's so much easier nowadays. When a customer says, "Oh, I'm not happy with 34,000 for my car," I've got salespeople just saying, "Hey, just go and sell it to Motorways. Sell it to We Buy a Car then. Sell it to Carwow." Okay? And it's a quick, easy way to overcome that objection. But then also, you walk into the used car department and we're sitting there buying these cars, paying through these services, whereas actually a trade-in that we could have had anyway. Well, wasn't that always the great thing about a franchise dealership? Okay, it's my first boss told me, listen, new cars is all just to get quality trade-ins, and we make our money selling great trade-ins. Now, of course, you make money out of selling new cars. I know you do, but a used car, a strong used car department was always the center of a profitable dealership. For me, anyway. If you had a great used car department, okay, you could actually afford to bring cars in a bit heavy if you need to do the new car deal. Okay, it's all about turning that used car stock. But then it's getting the stock has been an issue. Let's not forget that if we go back, 3 or 4 years ago, okay, the sale of new cars slowed down. There's a global shortage of semiconductors. We remember after COVID times, weren't those days fun? Okay. But because there was a global shortage of semiconductors, okay, the knock-on effect is used cars. Now, again, some of your dealers say, "Simon, why are you even talking about this? Our used car department, we're doing really, really well at the moment." Maybe not on used car finance, but that's a whole new subject we need to talk about. But again, it's because it's the supply and demand of the cars there. So actually, just sending these customers to one of these third-party websites. We Buy a Car, Carwow, Motorways, okay? Listen, I'm not knocking those guys, okay? They're trying to do a job. I think they're in between us and the customer now, though, okay? And I think I just want to throw out there my experience with them, Okay. And from a customer's point of view, is it as easy as you would think? Okay. And listen, we all know we buy a car. Now, first thing, let's go back for a while. And this was last year. I had uh, a BMW 530D M Sport that was time to go. Okay. So I was buying a new car from Sean Kelly. Thank you very much, Sean. You got me sorted on the new car there. Okay. Normally I'd part exchange it with Sean. Okay. Or whichever client I'm working with there. But I thought, no, I just want to go and sell it and have a look at the process. Okay. First one, I can't remember exact numbers, and the numbers aren't relevant, but we buy a car. Okay. The price was something like 89. Okay. They were the worst. Now we know this. We buy a car. Okay. When you go to their drop-in centers, okay, they'll chisel the price down. This was the biggest chisel down I've ever had. Okay. It was 18, it could be 9, let's call it 18 and a half. But when I went there, the salesperson, I don't know if I can call them that. Okay. Very nice, very friendly. And again, I don't want to knock any of the staff in this. Okay. They're just doing their job. But the figure started with something like 16.9. This car's got one of those silly BMW keys that's got the screen in it. Okay. The screen was just not charged. You have to charge up the screen. Okay. And the salesperson, bless him, turned around and said, well, that's broken. So we're going to have to charge something like 800, 900 quid. And I get it. They want to get for the lowest price possible. I said, well, it just needs a charge. He said, oh, no, sir. Let's have a look at the price of this online. It's quite good, the process they went through. But from a customer's point of view, it was the biggest knockdown. The same car through Carwow's service and motorways, the price was this within £2. Okay. So 18, 466 and 18,448. Okay. It was just all very, very close. So I accepted the offer through Carwow. Okay. And there's something that all of these services, okay, the customer gets the price, the dealers buy it. And again, I'm on your side, guys, as dealers. I've worked with dealers all my life. Okay. I've always been in franchise dealers. Okay. But they kind of bid on it to turn up to start bidding again. Okay. And the bid was accepted. Okay. The phone call comes through from the dealer, which is all nice. And he said, great. And it's got the sunroof in it. I said, no, the car hasn't got a sunroof. Oh, no, it should have a sunroof. Listen, I get it, guys. He's starting to try and chisel the price down. Okay. Lovely lady turned up from Carwow, and it was their service they offer where they provide the drivers. I'm sure it was outsourced. Okay. In fact, I know it was outsourced because I actually spoke to the company that outsources them. The lady was not just late, she was incredibly late. The lady dressed, not prepared to drive a car. Okay. She didn't drive the car as part of looking at it. And alarm bells are going off as a dealer because I'm thinking, what if the gearbox was knackered? Okay. What if something was wrong with that? I would have expected they drive it as part of their service, but it didn't happen. The lady was transfixed on that I didn't have the tyre inflation kit, which I thought was a bit strange because it had run flat tyres on it. So again, I said, well, unfortunately, it's got run flat tyres, so it won't have a tyre inflation kit. She had her little app and said, oh, no, but it needs a tyre inflation kit. No, it definitely needs this. Okay. And there was just this weird sort of debate saying, but it won't ever have one if it's got run flat tyres. So again, we all know getting staff's difficult. I know this outsourced company that Carwow was dealing with has probably got a high turnover, and I can't imagine they have a huge queue of people wanting to drive all over the country, okay, with trade plates trying to find cars there. So it must be difficult, and I sympathize. But where it went wrong was their app that they were using and the intelligence of it there. When I spoke to the dealer, in fact, the dealer who bought the car, I said, hey, listen, this is who I am. We got the Selling in the Motor Trade podcast. It goes out to 6,000 people every Thursday. He was nice and relaxed. Okay. He was very good. And we had the conversation about, and I quote, he said, tell you what, You think Carwell's what bad? Wait till you see the other guys. And that's where I thought, okay, I've got to do that at some point. Okay. So I had the chance to do it today. And this time I just went to one company, Motorways. Okay. Now the app is all very straightforward where you list the car to start with. This is what they think it will sell for. Okay. In the trade, I got an idea roughly what I thought the car's worth anyway. But listen, it's different because it's my money now. Okay. Well, actually, it wasn't. It was Simcoe's training. We were selling one of the cars in the one of the company cars there. Okay. So motorways come through. They had the estimation of what it should go for. Of course, someone phones you, and that's quite smart because they try and get you to be realistic on the price. Okay. But then I said, "Hey, listen, do me a favor. Make sure there is a dent on the door. I want to make sure that the dealer knows about it. I don't want to be that customer that misdescribes. Also, I'm in the motor trade long enough where we've got lots of our clients are getting customers to describe the cars. And let me tell you, okay, customers are so often harder on their own car with descriptions than what car salespeople are. Car salespeople misdescribe cars all the time because the more damage they find, the lower the price. The lower the price, the harder it is to do a deal. So listen, if you're a used car manager, listen to this. Please, I'd be more worried about your salespeople misdescribing cars than customers in the main. Now, again, I can hear people screaming, saying, hold on for a second. Let me tell you about this customer. Said the car was mint, said it was brilliant, and it wasn't. Okay. Oh, by the way, quick one for you there. Okay. If you're car salespeople listening to this, used car salespeople, or new, to be fair, and you're talking about a distant sale, okay, in a dealership, what we traditionally do. Here's a little technique you might want to use. If you just say, tell me about the condition of the car, it's grand, it's meant, it'll be perfect, okay? We train something along the lines of firstly, try and get the appointment, of course, okay? Don't just ask, are you local? Because people say, yeah, kinda, and then let people go into distant selling, okay? When they might be, what's local to you and what's local to the customer might be two different things. Always try and get the appointment first, okay? But if it is a distant sale, we might say, now please bear in mind, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, the price of your car is going to be based on your description. Now, when we see the car, if it's not as described, clearly we wouldn't be able to honor that. You'll have to go ahead on that basis, aren't you? Okay. Of course, every customer's going to say yes. Okay. But you've got to tee that up to start with. This is after you've trial closed, got commitment. If you can get the numbers right, that's the car they'd love to secure. Okay. But then I love to add this into it. Well, listen, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a car was like the day it left the factory, 1 being it's ready for the scrap heap. Overall, how would you rate the condition of your car? Don't just say on a scale of 1 to 10, okay? Because they'll say, wow, it's a 9, okay? Or it's a 10, it's a 9.5, okay? The car turns up. It's had more hits than the Beatles. And you say, what's this? And customers justify it to themselves by saying, well, it is a 9 out of 10 for a 4-year-old car. What do you expect? That's why we love to add on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being your car was like the day it left the factory. 1 being it's ready for the scrap heap. Overall, how would you rate the condition of your car? It's normally 7, 8, or 9. Great. Listen, what's stopping it being a perfect 10? And what's stopping it is that scuff or scrape, that shopping trolley dent, the card opened up in the car supermarket. Okay. It's the stain in the boot where they've taken the rubbish to the tip or the dump or something like that. Okay. It's the alloy wheel that was used as a parking sensor. And that's now a hook for your alloy insurance, your smart cover, okay, and your paint and fabric protection product. But then also then say, hey, listen, what I'm going to do is my boss might be conservative if she prices that car without seeing exactly what that is. Listen, can you do me a favor? Take a photograph of it, okay? Send it through to me on WhatsApp if you haven't got one of those services. If you use an Appraisee type app, then say, well, listen, I'm going to send you through a link to the app so you can take some photographs of it. Anyway, I go up by the by because we're a sales training company, right? That's what we do. That makes sure that your salespeople talk about the value added products on that remote sale. Let's make sure it's not a cash no bits. Okay. Also, you get a fair description and customers start thinking more about the damage that's actually happened to their car. Anyway, I go off track to motorways. So, same as Carwow. Okay, and I've got to say, I think Motorway's app was better than Carwow's. Just it was easier to use. That's all. Okay, so you take they get some basic details of the car. Okay, you wash the car. Okay, I didn't really do that. I put it through a car wash. Okay, and then I started taking the photographs of the car. All very, very simple. Tells you where to take the photograph of the car, lines up on the car, take the photograph of it, get all the details of the car. Few little gotchas, and this is me being silly. Audi's service history. Okay, I went into the actual Audi's service history is obviously stored in the car now, or you need to get a printout. You don't have the books anymore. With BMW, I showed the service history on the car. That's what I did last time. It wasn't good enough for both of those services. They needed to see something in print. So thanks to the guys for Swansway Group, the guys there got me a printout straight away there. John Oakley and the team there at Crew Audi just quickly done that for me. So that side of it works well. However, when I was speaking to him, I said, now, do me a favor. I want to make sure that you know that 3 of the alloy wheels are definitely scuffed. They've been used in the parking sensors. There is on the rear door. Someone has opened a door on it, okay? Listen, it's only a smart repair, okay? It will get fixed nice, but I don't want the dealer to turn up and start negotiating. I just wanted to play it with a straight bat, as we say back in Australia, just to see how it will work, okay? And I think most customers will do that. It was noted on there, okay? Sale went through. Okay, the price of the car, I was quite happy with it. I thought that was a decent price, if I'm honest. Okay, so the price went through. 18,401 from memory was the exact price. Okay, so dealers out there, the 401, the odd figure at the end, I'm sure that still helps you make sure that you're the winning bid. Had a phone call 6 o'clock in the morning from a lovely man who wants to pick it up. The car's off to Ireland. I get that. Okay. He wants to go and pick up as many cars and see them as he possibly can. I was actually recording a Zoom session. So I said, come after 12. He turned up quite late. Okay. But that's not his fault. You know what it's like when you're driving cars all across the country. Lovely guy. And by the way, I'm torn here. I get it. As a dealer, you want to get the car for the cheapest price you can. I get that. That's our job. We want to buy it cheap and sell it high. Okay, that's commerce. That's business. Okay. And he turns up and said, sorry, there's some damage on this car. It was said that it was a clean car. I said, no, it wasn't actually. It was, I made specifically, I told Motorways that there was a door there and the alloy wheels there. The guy showed me, said, oh, no, here, have a look at the phone. Look, there's no damage on it. The phone was, he's cracked phone, bless him. Okay, and I'm looking at it, fair enough. It's saying it's got no damage on it. I'm now a bit frustrated with Motorways. Guys, come on. I didn't want this. I wanted to know exactly how the process works. Okay, I was mystery shopping these places to see how it works there. But anyway, I turned around and said, well, actually, no, I've told him about that. He said, no, it's here. The driver, he works for 5 or 6 different dealers in Ireland. So I get it. Okay, he's contracted to these guys. Okay, he phones the dealer, and the dealer is upset. So no, that's meant to be a clean car. That's absolutely a clean car. The guy here shows me this. And said, come on, how much less are you going to take for it? Because that's clearly not a clean car. I got through to Motorways. Guys, hard work to get hold of you. Very hard. Okay. Got through to Motorways. I said, can you read through what I said? Again, the guy said, on the rear door, passenger door, there is a dent there. Okay, there's a photo of it. He sends it through. Okay, I said, can you send that to the dealer? Also, do me a favor, send it to me. Okay, the guy comes through. I said, look, here it is. The driver here and the dealer said, well, we weren't told about it, and I'm upset with Motorways, but how much less are you going to take? Because clearly I bid on this as a clean car. I said, no, we've told Motorways, that's what it is. Okay. He said, yeah, but you'll have to take less for it now then. Okay. I said, listen, guys, if you don't want, hey, that's fine. No problem. I'll be brutally honest with you. I thought, great, I'll put this through Carwow and see what their service is like now. If it's got any better than what it was last year when we did it. Okay. Because I had in my mind, I want to talk to you about the whole process and how it worked here. Okay. And by the way, I have no axe to grind with any of these companies. Okay. We're not working with any of them currently. Yes, we worked with Carwow in the past. I think they're good guys. They really are there. I'm just going to deliver the facts about what's happening here. Okay. So anyway, the guy turns around and says, "Oh, sorry. Oh, I got confused. That's an A3 I'm showing you. Oh, the A3 was clean, not the A4. Oh, I was picking up two cars." Okay, fair enough. That'll work. So that's it. Again, the guy said, "Can we go for a drive?" Of course you can. I jumped in the car. The dealer, I love this bit. He said, "Okay, well, will you take, I think it was 300 less." I said, "No, would you take 200 less?" I said, "No, do me a favor. I'll stick to the price." That's it. He said, "Oh, fair enough." And again, guys, as a dealer, as the independents, I'm putting myself in your shoes now. I've never done this. And Umesh, maybe it's worth a call. Or maybe, Umesh, I know this is why you don't like buying through these services. And this is why you have so many people coming back to you. And I suppose I get that now. Okay. But this guy here, okay, it was trying to chisel it down. What price you give me? I said, "Listen, I'll stick to that price there. Okay, that's what I need to be." And I suppose he kind of had to. He's paid for a driver to get here. He's probably paid for a ferry of flights there. Okay. Think about the lost revenue when the dealer says, sorry, when the customer says no. So I kind of, that must hurt. It must hurt when you get there, especially when the customer has misdescribed the car. Okay. Malcolm Beatty, I don't know if you buy through these services. I'd love to have a chat to you. I reached out to you last night to give you a phone call, but you must be hockey training or something like that in the afternoon. So anyway, deal's done. But this is where it goes horribly wrong. We agree the deal. Okay. The driver needs to come back later to pick the car up. Okay. We have a settlement figure on the car because there's finance outstanding. Works very well. They're using Motorway's finance, the dealer, so it should be all nice and seamless. Okay. However, the actual date that we had on the finance, okay, it was running out on the next day. And Motorways, when we uploaded the document 5 or 6 times. Now, by the way, I'm a 52-year-old man, so I may be getting it wrong. I had my son, my wife look at, am I doing something wrong here? What's actually happening there? It was uploaded 3 or 4 times, and they didn't say what the issue was. Okay, and they did try to phone, to be fair, but as a sales trainer, my phone's off regularly. Okay, but worked out that there wasn't 5 days on the settlement. I said, okay, well, you won't be able to get 5 days because it's coming up towards the end of the month. Another payment's going to come out on the 1st of July. This is relevant at the moment, okay? And the conversation's back and forth saying, but hold on, the dealer wants the car. They want to come back and pick it up, okay? If we wait, and I was actually said, well, you'll just have to wait till next month. Well, okay, if I do that, the dealer might not want it next month. He may have bought it because he's got a customer for that car. He wants to get it back and fix up that dent that he didn't know about on the rear door to get it sold. Okay. Stock turn is so important. That needs to be on his website as quick as he can to get it sold, get the money back in the bank to get the next car. Okay. And I'm putting myself in the dealer's shoes, but then also the consumer shoes. Okay. Guys, speaking to, I don't know, it must have been 5 or 6. And Motorways, if you listen to this, hey, please go back and listen to the calls. Reach out to me. Okay. I don't appreciate being hung up on. And that's just as a customer. When it got too hard, I said, can I speak to your manager? Because this is not making sense to me. Okay. I never yell, rant, or rave because we've been in customer facing environment too long. We've had people yelling at us and I just don't do that. Okay. But being hung up, it's very, very frustrating. And again, these people saying, hey, listen, just try and get another settlement figure and we'll see what happens. It's like, no, can you please just try and sort it out? Anyway, long story short, that didn't work. I'm spending an hour of my life to sort it out. I'm sitting there thinking I should have taken a lower price from We Buy a Car. That'd be easier. Or again, as a real customer, why wouldn't I have just traded it in with my dealer? It'd make life so much easier. And by the way, this is a car. The guys at Swansway, they sold it to us. Okay, they want it for their motor match. It would be a great car for motor match. Okay, if I was buying another car from them, again, that should be a car that comes back into our network straight away without going through. And I'm torn because I've got the independence guys saying, no, we want that car there. And I really am. I'm trying not to sit on the fence. I'm trying to put myself in everyone's shoes, the dealer shoes, the consumer shoes. Okay. And these buying services, there's a place for them, right? We need them. And they've got to make money. I get that as well. And it must be so difficult. But the quality of their staff with the interaction in the main was worse than poor. It was really bad. To the point it was dangerous. So we actually finally got a settlement figure. The settlement figure on the car, okay, I can't remember exactly what it was, and that's irrelevant. But there was a settlement figure plus another £60 as the final admin fee. Okay, so it was the settlement figure at whatever it was, 13 something, plus the 60. So when I finally got through to someone saying the dealer wants to come and pick it up, he's phoned me, he's driving here now. I just want to make sure the finance is settled. Do I just need to go and settle it off, okay, and make sure the whole, that'd be quicker and easier, I think. But we're in the situation to do it because it's through the company. We're fine. We could have done that. Could a private customer do that? Maybe, maybe not. But the settlement come through every time without the final documentation fee or admin fee. But it's £60, okay? The dealer wouldn't have had clear title. The finance company wouldn't have released it. When the documents come through and it was like the 13 odd minus the £60 every time, so I said, yeah, but that's not the settlement figure. And the lady I was speaking to didn't fully understand it. She said, oh no, I've got it here. That's the settlement figure. There's a final £60. What's going to happen there? Now, I'm not upset about £60. I'm upset about actually, let's put ourselves into the customer's shoes. Was the final finance settled on the car? No. Would the customer have actually, I don't know, would they get some black marks on their credit rating because they haven't paid off the car there? Now, it's only £60. I'm sure it would have been sorted out afterwards. Okay. But is that the point? The quality of the staff, they didn't understand that figure wasn't the settlement figure. Maybe it's just this particular finance company, the way they show it on their final payout. It might be as simple as that there. But when I'm trying to explain to the person, they just wanted to get you off the phone as quick as you can. In fact, worse, they said, oh no, the final £60, that will be included. It comes through on their lovely app afterwards, and it wasn't. Okay. Again, the dealer and the driver, brilliant. They said, listen, don't worry about it. It's £60. And I said, I'm not worried about £60. It's here nor there. Okay. But actually, you as a dealer, the finance company won't release that until they got the final payment anyway. So is the dealer going to have to cough up that final 60? Is Motorways going to cough up that final 60? Was the person selling going to cough up that final 60? I don't know. Okay. But actually, I suspect it's the dealer that would have actually, at the end of it, have to just swallow that. Okay. But the point I'm making is it wasn't seamless. It wasn't easy. In fact, I've used these services now, and going back beforehand, I sold through Carwow, and I always like to go and see what the experience is actually like. Okay. I actually like to go and buy a car from these online buying services when they were doing it, just to see what the process is actually like. And that's probably the end of my rant there. Okay. I know as dealers, we may not have done that. And that's why I want to let you know what it's like there. And this is a commercial decision for you, the dealers. Listen to this. Do you want your new car salespeople, your used car salespeople say, just sell it through Motorways, sell it through We Buy a Car. Crack on. It's the easiest job in the world. Quick and easy for them to do a deal. But if you're now looking for those quality stock, that quality stock is gone. Okay. And we spend our life trying to do prospecting and trying to find stock, but actually that stock is going out to one of these We Buy Car services. So number one, you might want to deal with that and say, guys, I don't want you saying that. We need to offer it first. But number two, when a customer says, no, I'm going to sell it through Motorways, through Carwow, but We Buy a Car, and it's stock you want, where's that next phone call in? after they've agreed the price? Because maybe they're getting the same grief. And maybe the customer just says, you know what, forget it for that one of these other services. I will let the dealer have it. Now, again, if it's a 15-year-old car in stock you don't want, who cares? Okay, get rid of it. But actually, this car was probably stock, a 40,000 mile A4 that was 2 years old, 2.5 years old. Maybe it's higher mileage, and maybe coming up to 3. My apology, it's 73 plate. Okay, I'm trying to work out maths now. Okay, so actually, as a 3-year-old A4 with 40,000 miles on it, that might be stock that some used car operation people listen to this. You probably want that, I'm guessing. Okay, so just make sure that next call goes in. If a customer is selling to it, that's a business decision. Yes, of course, they'll always go there. And these systems, they will always stack up high, okay? And the dealers will always chisel it down there. Maybe it's even letting the customer know, yep, that's the deal, you've got that. Maybe it's the old either or close. Maybe it's the window of opportunity. And that's what I'm going to call this podcast. If a customer says, I'm going to sell it through Carwow, I'm going to sell it through Motorways, I'm going to sell it from to We Buy a Car. By the way, the worst out of this, okay? Maybe turn around and say, hey, no problem, Mr. and Mrs. Customer. You now have a window of opportunity. It's going to take a while for your new car to come through, your used car to come through. So you've got that amount of money from Motorways or Carwow, okay? So either you get that, or you can actually accept what we would take for you here, because we've actually seen the car and we'll stick to that. So do me a favor. If you take it to one of the drop-in centers, or if the dealer turns up and starts saying, that's not as described, at least you've got this to fall back on, especially if it's stock that we want. Guys, if you're, listen, guys at Carwow, you can reach out to me, okay? We've had this conversation with them. So guys, I don't know the people from Motorways, okay? You might say it's a one-off. If you want to reach out to me and talk about the experience, I'd love to share that with you. But this podcast is all about our audience, our dealers out there. I just want to share this information for you so you can do with it how you want. And also, you might not have the time to sell one yourself to see what the process is actually like. Anyway, that about does it for now. Sorry if it's a rant this time, but I just thought you really needed to know this. I'll see you next time. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, simcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn.